brain. Welcome into his frequency. Enter at your own risk. Come be at peace with me. Ask the Paul, where we rise and don't fall.
Welcome back to another episode of Baxter's Buzz. I am your host, Baxter E. Hall. Welcome to my brain. Welcome to my frequency. Enter at your own risk. Now, I'm proud to say I have a returning guest. He is a friend of mine. He also happens to be the Global Human Resources Director for Gentherm, Mr. Bernard Morgan. Welcome back, sir. Welcome back to Baxter's Buzz.
Mr. Hall, always a pleasure, my friend, just to be graced with your presence, man. I'm always excited.
Yeah, well, likewise. And we this is the second one that people will see. We had that Berry Gordy one that just the technology didn't want to cooperate, but let's move on. It's good to see you.
Likewise.
As we approach Father's Day, I wanted to have you on just to talk a bit about sort of what that sort of means to you sort of now, and what it meant to you as a child, and sort of just bounce around a couple of ideas and thoughts, because this is something that we've talked about personally, but not a terrible amount sort of on air. So when you think about Father's Day, like, let's start about like today, you as a dad, like, what does that mean to you? And like, what are the things that you appreciate about just being a dad in general?
Yeah. It's funny. You don't realize how fatherhood will impact you until you become a father, right? And I have a 9-year-old daughter, as you know, my only child, and it's life changing. It really is. Being a father is life changing, and definitely a blessing for sure. I'll say for me, it's imperative that we acknowledge what we do, right? I think a lot of times, we for those who do it right. Let me say that for those who do fatherhood right, we kind of take what we do for granted, right? We provide for our children. We take care of home, everything's, from the schooling and the food and everything. It's good. It's like second nature to us, right? And that's what we're supposed to do, right? We're supposed to be providers. We're supposed to be the ones to take care of home. But I think sometimes we underappreciate ourselves, right? Of the impact that we do leave for our children. And just a little bit about my background. So I grew up with my father. My father was in my household. He was there, providing. He was a factory worker, right? So he was always up early in the morning, going to the plant shop, see him around 5 o'clock. He come home and eat, and pretty much go to sleep. And that was his cycle, day in and day out. So I admired how he took care of us, how he was a great provider of, the needs for us. There are some opportunities there. I love my dad. Again, unfortunately, he passed away a couple of years ago. But, like I said, no one's perfect, right? So kind of that emotional, touch wasn't always there.
Sure.
I assumed at times he was proud of me. Did he always say it? Not always. I assumed most of the time he loved me. Did he always say it? Not always, right? And then I remember growing up, I'm like, okay, there's some things that I want to leverage that he did as a parent, but there's some things I would do differently, right, as a dad going into it. And oftentimes I now find myself catching myself when I'm acting like my father to my child. I see sometimes, wow, why am I yelling at her? Why am I so abrasive to her at this moment, right? Why am I so short with her? And it's a learning, it's a journey, man.
Yeah.
Father, it's a journey.
Yeah, you said a lot, as far as just, you got me thinking about a number of things. But my dad wasn't a huge talker, right? Which you're probably wondering where I got it from. It was not him. And this is, I've said this. I said this 2 years ago. You know, my daughter is 9,
Mhm.
and you know, I know I've had more conversations with her now than he had. You know, with me. You know, he passed away. Well, my dad passed away in 2014. But you know, I have been here. You know, a decent amount of time from. You know, but we didn't spend a lot of time together like that, one on one. And the communication piece, and I know communication is so important to you. You know, you want to be sincere. You clarity is important to you. And you know, I spend a lot of time talking to my kids because I want some of this stuff to sink in eventually, right? And
Right.
we know what a conversation would have meant to us. Or you know, I would hear um his friends tell me how proud he was of me,
Mm.
but I don't know if I've ever heard, you know, yeah, you know, your dad was just talking about how you're doing this and that. And I'm thinking, dang, well, he's never shared those things with me. It's good to
Yeah.
know, right? But
Yeah. Yeah.
we have to sort of assume a number of those things. And I think the world is different than it used to be, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah,
to your point, we had to sometimes break that cycle, right? Because I found out as I got older that his father really didn't do those things to him, right, or for him. They didn't have the best relationship, right? And so he did what he knew and tried. I think he tried to do better than what his dad did, and I'm trying to do better than what my dad did. So,
sure.
every generation, I think we're still, especially in our community, I think we're still trying to get it right, right? We're still trying to perfect fatherhood in our community and what that means and what we're supposed to do. It's still going to be an evolution. I think I would hope the generation after us will be better fathers than us.
Yeah, I think that you know, from my standpoint, you know, I'm first generation, a lot of stuff,
Hmm.
right? And my dad worked in the plant as well, right? And so yeah, they you know, we I guess we consider white collar.
Hmm.
Um,
Well, you are for sure.
well, you know, just the opportunities that we have as far as like seeing our children. You know, I have two. You know, I wrote a whole book, you know, recently, really trying
Hmm.
to make sure that there were things that she has and that my son has that I wish I would have, you know, if you know, had my dad been a little bit more vocal, had my mom been around, I imagine these
Yeah.
are some of the things that they would have learned. But you know, we are imperfect people raising
Mm.
imperfect people, man, and I won't say we're all doing the best we can because I don't believe that, and I try not to
Right.
say that, but I do feel like there are times where people don't feel like they have a choice. They just didn't know what other options they had as far as parenting went because they only knew what they knew
Yeah.
from their parents, right?
Yeah. And sometimes it becomes a crutch, right? To me, we can always do better, and that's in everything in life, right? And but in particularly in parenthood, it's always, hey, this is how I was raised. This is what I saw in my household. This is what I grew up being and seeing. But at a certain point, you got to say, well, I want better for mine, right?
That's right.
I'm going to stand up. I'm going to be the change agent. I'm going to be the one that you know I want to continue to hug and kiss my daughter, right? Though she hates it. She gets to the point now was, okay, Dad, stop, right?
Yeah.
But as a kid, man, I wanted, hey, Dad, you see me, right? And I want to make sure that she doesn't have any of those feelings of wondering, like
Yeah.
and discovering after I'm gone, and like for you, discovering things, when your father's gone. So I want my child to know, wow, Dad cared about me, Dad loved me, Dad appreciated me, Dad was proud of me. So there would be no, I wonders in
Yeah.
her life.
No, no. You know, Yeah, so yesterday it was I was working a little later than I anticipated, trying to finish up some things, and my daughter, she was upset. She was upset, and I couldn't. I was, you know, trying to finish the email, right?
Hmm.
The the balance of the world depended on me getting this email out, right? And so I'm
Right.
like,
Right.
just give me a second to save the world here. I gotta make sure my punctuation is right.
Hmm.
And she was more upset than I normally see her. And she said, can we read? Can we read? And I realized it's been a while since we've read. Sometimes we'll chit chat. Sometimes, they don't get anything besides a hug and a kiss because they're past their bedtime. My patience is thin. But I said, yeah. And so I came in. We spent some time yesterday, just sitting, chatting. We read one book for the boy. He's 6. We read a book for him. He actually sat and read and listened to us read a book that she wanted to read, and so we read a little bit of it. And it's like, man, I got to figure out how to build these things into my day and prioritize them, because I'm not home every evening, but the evenings that I'm home, I got to make that a part because what else are we doing it for?
Right.
All the emails and all the work is really for them, but sometimes they just want you,
Yeah.
and we have to keep that in perspective.
Right. Right. Yeah. And very good point. Right. They don't know that that business meeting, that call you're making is to better their lives. They don't understand that.
Right.
Their lives can be enriched by that moment of you spending time with them. That's how their lives are better for them in their eyes at that moment. We, on the other hand, we prioritize. Look, I got to make sure you go to college. I'm trying to get your college fund right. I'm trying to get my retirement right, so you don't have to take care of me. Your money can be
Right.
your money, and I can leave you a little something once I leave here, right?
Yeah.
And I'm working to get to that point for the inheritance for you. Their inheritance right now is the love, the memories, the being cherished, right,
Yeah.
at that moment. And I think that goes back to priorities of parenthood. What are we? And I like what you're saying of really trying to embed it now into your schedule, like to really make this a true, just like a business meeting. This is a business meeting. This is a business between your parenthood, your father, you and your daughter and your son, right?
Yeah.
So just as we prioritize meetings with those individuals, we need to prioritize meeting with our children. And sometimes it will be an afterthought, unfortunately. It's a
Yeah.
second priority for all the stuff we got going on.
Yeah. And it's easy to sort of, take, they're always here and this and that. And but they may not always want to be as close to us as
Right?
they do right now. And although I
Yeah.
can't imagine it, I've heard it from enough people where, I'm sort of bracing myself for it. And I'll say this. We talked you touched on it, and this is a whole nother conversation, a whole nother podcast, but Black fathers, and sort of the responsibility that we feel, knowing sort of what we have experienced, and sort of these one-dimensional lenses that the society tries to view us. We feel a lot of those pressures,
Hmm.
right or wrong,
Hmm.
to be that much better, right? And I'll say that there's probably a bit of that for every race, and just the responsibility you feel when you're trying to do the right thing. Um, I would say just really don't try. We got to do our best to not wear those expectations, and just do the best job that we can each and every day, and look at every day, not only to sort of make an impact on the world, but also just make a positive impact on our children.
Yeah.
Share a laugh, be silly, help them, with their homework, and let them know that you care. And that's much more simple than we make it to be sometimes, most of the time.
Yeah. And back to kind of, communities and fatherhood, and back to that added pressure, right, that we apply to ourselves. I, I can speak for myself. I won't speak for my community, but just Bernard Morgan a second. Um, that added pressure is, I apply to myself because I want to make sure that she's safe, right? That she's in a safe space, safe environment, that she doesn't have to want for anything. 'Cause, I had a great childhood, right? I want to make sure she has an even better childhood. So it's just wanting to one up, my experience for her.
Sure.
You know,
Sure.
if I had silver, I want you to have gold, right?
Yeah.
That's my mindset for her. Um, and to your point, we focus on those, searching for that gold, trying to mine for that gold, where we aren't mindful of those golden moments we're missing with our children, right? And that's the challenge. For me personally, this is my venting session now, my therapy session now, right? Of being on the couch is, man, I'm focusing on the wrong, search for gold, and I think we all have that challenge,
Yeah.
for trying to be great parents, trying to be perfect.
Trying to be perfect. I'll say this, and then we can wrap, because I know this is something we could talk about all day, and I hope that we could continue to have these conversations off camera, because it's important to know that there's people sort of with the same mindset that are dealing with the same insecurities, right? I spent a lot of time yesterday just like I said, she was upset. I didn't know why, and it's always like, okay, am I doing enough? Right. And it was just, yesterday wasn't the first day where I just kind of feel this guilt. And I'm just trying to
Mhm,
figure out, okay, well, what am I doing enough? How can I do more? How can I,
mhm,
be present, be in the moment? I want my kids to know that I love them, that their mom loves them. I want them to know that I love them. And I really feel like they do, even though I get on their case. And I let them know why I'm getting on their case, that I
mhm.
expect more, but I feel like they know that it's coming from the right place. And I also want them to know that that isn't always right.
Mm.
Um, there's a difference between sort of uh, not meaning them any harm, but also sort of harming them because we just don't know what we don't know. And
Yeah.
I want to give them enough information to have them be able to hear it as they get older. Maybe they'll think about other ways to go about that. And I want them to determine what makes the most sense for them. I don't want them to do everything I say. I want them to know that I will never intend to tell them anything wrong, but daddy gonna be wrong.
Wow.
And maybe it was the right answer when I was your age, or maybe it was the right answer yesterday, but today maybe it's a different day, it's a
Hmm.
different set of circumstances, and I want them to have the freedom to um, challenge that as and respectfully, of course, but just to challenge that thinking, because I think some folks get old and realize, man, my parents didn't know it all. And I think if they can start looking at those things earlier, they can start questioning everything that they're seeing, that their friends are telling them.
Yeah.
Because you're only as good as the last time you change your mind. So if I'm questioning my own thoughts, I
Hmm.
want them to be able to question their thoughts, and then the people around them too,
Mm.
because I think it's a good practice to have a strong sense of like skepticism of sort of why am I thinking this way?
Mm.
Is this something that I learned? Is something I feel that I just picked? Where did I pick this up from? And does it still apply and make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That takes, um, courage as a parent to show that, right? To showcase that you're not perfect. Growing up, do this. Why? Because I told you so.
Because I said so.
Right?
That's right. That's right.
Because I know better. I know it all. So you can't challenge me because I've lived longer than you have.
Yeah.
That takes a lot of strength. Even me, of getting to the point of apologizing to her for either saying something wrong or doing something wrong, of yelling where I should not have yelled. I apologize.
Yeah.
Back in the day, you didn't get apologies.
No.
You just had to suck it up, and you had to move on. But what scars did it leave on us in those moments, right? And or avenues where we could not think through. Okay, yes, it is okay to mess up. Okay, I can be wrong, and I got to right my wrongs.
That's right.
So I'm with you. That's part of my journey as well.
Yeah. No, the apologizing piece. I apologize to both of my children when I'm wrong, because we're trying to set a different example. And also sometimes it's just because I said so. All right. But when it comes to like a critical a concept, I want them to be able to wrap their head around it. You're a leader at your organization. The popular term for the past 10, 15 years is like the why, right? And that's the question kids ask more than anything, is why. And if we can't properly communicate why we're asking them to do these things, then how much validity does it have?
Right. Because it's not always defiance, it is discovery.
That's right.
We take that as, you are questioning me because you're challenging me, kind of thing. And that's not pleasant or comfortable as a parent to have that being brought to you by your child. But if you look at it from their perspective and how they're growing and developing, just curious, why did you make the decision? If your boss asks you why, you're not going to say because I told you so.
Right.
You're going to tell your boss, this is my strategy, here's the plan, here's what I did, and this is how I got this equation to get 1, 2 to get 3. Right?
Yeah.
Well, again, we're sometimes short fused with our kids that we miss those golden moments to enlighten them on the why.
That's right. Because as we sharpen them, we sharpen ourselves. And if it's always because I said so, then nobody's learning and growing from that, from those interactions. Look, man, this we could do this all day. Thank you for the time. Thank you for sharing. These things aren't always easy to share. So I appreciate your presence and your transparency, sir. On behalf of Mr. Bernard Morgan II, I am Baxter E. Hall. I just want everyone to know that you are all capable. You just need to embrace your own frequency. Thanks for listening, watching, and until next time, peace.
Welcome into his brain, welcome into his frequency. Enter at your own risk, come be at peace with me.
Thank you so much for watching this video. If you haven't already, please hit the like button, please subscribe, share, and also hit that notification button as well. Thank you so much.
Financial literacy to authentic Black history, this real rap.